up, everybody? This is Gray here, and welcome to the Sunday Shift Report. SHTF has hit the fan. All right, folks, so during the week, of course, you guys have seen a bunch of things pop up, and, I beg to ask the question, are we headed to an Orwellian future with this whole disinformation, ministry of truth, whatever you like to call it, being organized by the Department of Homeland Security? And my question is, and this is why we're going to go over a couple of these topics that I have here, other than one that doesn't have nothing to pertain to this, but I wanted to show it to you because of the devastation over there in Kansas. But is it being set up to kind of quell the noise, per se, the voices that are talking about what might be happening over in Russia and Ukraine outside of the news and places like that? Also, the supply chain, inflation, labor issues, borders security, all those things that are being discussed now freely amongst Americans in general conversation via the web, be it online, be it in person, and so on and so forth. Is this set up for that? Now, I know some people are going to say, well, if you dig into it, it's more so for our enemies overseas and all this other stuff like that. And, that's how it always starts. That's how it always starts. It's not for us, it's for them. You have nothing to worry about, and all that jazz. Just remember what happened after 9/11 and what happened with that. And, how many Americans were being spied on without their knowledge, without a warrant, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to bring that up real quick. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to look at stuff, and I got some stuff at the end that I want to show you that's very disturbing, that plays into this role, because during the entire last few years in regards to the health crisis itself, there's been a lot of information, disinformation, information that's been censored. Whatever you want to look at it, a lot of stuff has been hushed, paid off, whatever the case may be, to silence those folks, or they just get canceled. They get removed. They get banned from places like Twitter, Facebook, and other places on many social media platforms. So, again, I ask you that question. Are we headed to an Orwellian future? And it seems to be that way, right? Now, some people are going to say it's conspiratorial. You're crazy. You're out of your mind. This is the United States of America, one of the freest countries in the world. Are you truly free? Are you free to make certain decisions? Are you allowed to speak what you want to speak? Are you allowed to have an opinion without being canceled? Anyways, folks, those are some of the questions I'd like to ask you, the viewers, in regards to this premiere. I want to thank everyone for being here in the premiere. Truly appreciate that. And mods, thank you for being here as well. That being said, everything that I'm about to discuss is my opinion, and my opinion only. Links to these articles will be down below, at least to most, so that you can draw your own conclusion and make your own opinion outside of mine. Again, this is an opinionated show, in my opinion. So this is how I look at things. So before you come across the board and try to be judgmental, I'm welcome to your opinion. We can agree to disagree. Simple as that. But my show, my opinions. So let's get into it. Let me take a cup of coffee first. Or a drink of coffee. So let's get into the meat of all this, because I also want to, man, we're looking at a few things. We're on the cusp, right? People have been discussing World War III, and most of the times I try to discredit it and be like, can it really go that far? But things that are slowly transpiring gives us light into what may be a foreseeable future in regards to engagement with Russia, or let's say the Chinese or Iran and North Korea, and the list goes on. The West has many enemies. And other things are going to exacerbate that situation, like starvation, other countries that are starving, other countries that don't have fuel when it comes to crude oil and stuff like that. All right, so let me bring up the article like I always do here. Let's throw it up on the screen, and let's discuss it. You know what I mean? Well, wasn't that very odd? I go to bring up the article, and my entire camera shuts down. Anyways, they don't want the truth. Anyways, let's get into it, right? Here's the article that I had planned and I was going to put up here. Anyways, it says Homeland Security Defense Disinformation Board and its newly appointed leader. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, what a piece of work, defended its agency move to create a so-called Disinformation Governance Board after it faced widespread criticism that it was tantamount to an Orwellian Ministry of Truth. An interview with CNN, Communist News Network, which is failing and has some of the worst ratings in news history, on Sunday, Mayorkas said that the DHS panel would not be used to monitor American citizens and praised its new leader, Nina Jankowicz, after it was revealed that she posted crude and bizarre videos online and repeated false claims in late 2020 that reports of the laptop were part of Russian disinformation plot. She was a big proponent of that. It didn't exist. It's all fake. Come to find out, it wasn't. It was all factual. There might, we'll probably see this develop over 2022. To be honest with you, so I'm assuming some of you folks may have seen some of the videos that they're talking about, and I got one myself that someone brought up or someone sent to me via Twitter, I think it was, and I wanted to share it with you. Just a little clip of it. We won't dive into the entire video because she does get a bit vulgar. Even though she's being a political figure and the face of the disinformation campaign, I have to laugh, man, because it's just like, it's unbelievable. It gets to the point where it's unbelievable that this is transpiring in America. I don't know. Anyways, let me bring it up so you guys can hear it.
Time to talk.
There she is.
So I know you'll understand me when I share my dream with you. I want to be rich, famous, and powerful. Step on all my enemies and never do a thing. I want to be rich, famous, and powerful. So all I have to do in life is sit around and sing. I don't want to.
Anyways, folks, a little cringy there, right? A little cringy. Power and money and all that fun stuff like that. Yeah. Sounds perfect. Sounds absolutely perfect for this country to be running an organization or a branch of an organization like the one that she's been tasked to do so. I just don't get it, folks. I just don't get it. Where do these people come up with these ideas? Who's the puppeteer? Who's the guy pulling the strings, right? You can't make this stuff up. Honestly, you cannot make it up. They call people conspiracy theorists, and then stuff comes to light, and they wonder why people have distrust in our own government. It's that simple. Anyways, moving on. Also, I wanted to bring up something. So, what was it? In Canada, years ago, they created a Ministry of Truth. I got a little clip here real quick. I'll throw it up on the screen. This was back in January 31st of 2019, and some of you Canadians might be familiar with this. I know we have a lot of you folks in chat, so I truly appreciate you guys hanging out with us as well. And I'm going to butcher this word, but it says got me. It says Ottawa sets up Ministry of Truth to monitor online news, but not mainstream media. The Liberals announced $7 million to monitor online fake news while giving the mainstream media a free pass. Have they forgotten the hijab hoax? So I wanted to show that it's just not the United States. Our brothers to the north of us, our brothers and sisters in Canada, have been dealing with this for quite some time and still dealing with it. We've seen a lot of things. You've seen the situation that arose over the weekend. People are sitting there trying to use their rights to protest. And what we see what the government is doing to those folks, and previously with the Freedom Convoy and whatnot. Anyways, crazy stuff, folks. Crazy stuff. And, again, let's touch on this, the whole concept of World War III. Is it possible? I used to think, no, it's impossible. And what I mean by that is just I would not think that total devastation of the world would make sense to anyone, especially to any government, because a lot of governments and countries use each other to support each other in regards to trade deals and resources and all that jazz. But I guess there's some folks out there that it doesn't really matter if the world was to end tomorrow. So you're saying, Gray, what are you talking about? So we have a a couple of things. I'll bring that up and then we'll go in there. Let's bring up Kissinger first, or Kissinger, however you say his name. You know I butcher names, folks. So just check it out. It says Kissinger introduced Kissinger. Yeah, that's how you say it. One of the ways. Introduces an AUMF to defend Ukraine if Russia uses chemical, biological, nuclear weapons. So, if Russia uses any of the three, chemical, biological, or nuclear, this is where it's going to head. It says Representative, he is a Republican, Representative Adam Kissinger, on Sunday introduced an authorization for use of military force resolution that, if passed, would authorize President Corn Pop to utilize U.S. forces to defend Ukraine if Russia uses chemical, biological, or nuclear weapons against its neighbor. Kissinger announced that the joint resolution during an interview with moderator Margaret Brennan on CBS Face the Nation asked if it is too soon to be discussing the potential use of force in Ukraine. Kissinger said, "No, I do not. I don't think we need to be using force in Ukraine right now. I just introduced the AUMF, an authorization for use of military force, giving the presidential basically congressional leverage for permission to use it if weapons of mass destruction, nuclear, biological, chemical, are used in Ukraine." What will that force be? I'm assuming it would usually in a war. If weapons of mass destruction are used, you usually meet that with equal or more force. Being us, the United States, which will, of course, incite a global war, a global crisis, a global conflict, however you want to call it. So many names. Some people get mad if you don't call it a certain specific name. War, conflict, issue, crisis, whatever it may be, whatever you're comfortable with. But yeah, and so I wanted to bring up that article. I was actually surprised, and I'll throw this up too real quick. This is actually from Washington, D.C., and this is dated May 1st, which is today, folks. So hot off the press, as they like to say. And as you can see down there, I highlighted that section. But like I said, you can find this in the article and download it. But it'll dive into a little bit more. But I just wanted to throw that up there. I'm not going to read the entire thing and bore you guys with this long piece of information, but you guys can find it in the links below. And you know what? I just learned... I just learned just yesterday how many troops are over there. And what I mean by troops is I don't mean just U.S. troops. I mean NATO troops, British troops, the whole conglomerate. 2.1 million troops totaling in Poland. 2.1 million. Very formidable force, I would say. Lots of the folks that I know that are on boots on the ground, that are deployed over there right now, say that every day more and more weaponry is showing up. And some people say, well, that's the weaponry for the Ukrainians. Is it? Do you know that for a fact? Because what I'm being told is something totally different. They're saying that there's more weaponry showing up. And what I mean by weaponry is I mean MRADs and tanks and fighter jets and all the other stuff like that you would assume. Don't take my word for it. Maybe you'll see it evolve eventually, or do some research, when it comes to that. But this is my boots on the ground, not me personally, but friends of mine who are over there on sustainment units. You guys in the military know what I'm talking about. But anyways, some of these units that are deployed there, there's lots of other units over there. I think the 82nd is over there as well. People say, well, they're just there to train. So you're telling me 2.1 million total of NATO and the U.S. I think the U.S. is 40 to 60,000. Don't quote me on that. But as I was told, it's growing daily. Maybe you folks know some friends of yours that are in the military, and all of a sudden they're being deployed to Poland or regions near that. Very intriguing. Anyways, let's pull up something that I found on a Poland website. Check it out. It says government launches guide on how to survive Russian invasion with tips including how to prepare for war and what to do if hostilities break out. Boy, I can't get it together today. It's been a long morning, folks, and I don't mean to go down a tangent, but I've been up at 4:30 a.m. I had to get into the garden. I got a lot of work doing. The garden is doing well. It's going crazy, which is good, because it's going to save me a lot of money on fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. Anyways, so I'm a bit tired and I got a lot of things to do today. So hopefully I'll get this out on time and it won't, take up too much time. I'm not going to try to run the full 45, 50 minutes. Hopefully it'll be around a half hour, but I can never guarantee it. Anyways, get to the point, Grey. It says a new guidebook giving Poles, which are Polish people. They like to call themselves Poles, I guess. Tips on what to do if they're captured by Russian soldiers in the event of invasion includes, instructions such as don't beg, make eye contact, and only run away if you're sure you can make it. Entitled Be Ready, Guidebook for Crisis and War, the list of do's and don'ts was written by experts from the Government Center for Safety, the RCB, who says that it pays to be knowledgeable and prepared for different situations. Wow. Who would have knew that it pays to be prepared for certain situations outside of war? Who would have thought that being prepared for different situations is such an important thing? Something that us prepper channels preach all the time. Emergency preparedness. Huge thing, right? And here we go. Another government telling its citizens that it's great to be knowledgeable and prepared for different situations. Anyways, the 36-page manual consists of two parts. The first contains information about how to prepare for war. The second describes what to do if hostilities break out. The material includes information on how to prepare for evacuation, how to behave in case of contamination, keyword contamination, lack of electricity supply, or being taken captive, how to give first aid, how to protect yourself from disinformation in order not to panic, how to behave during an alarm, and what various alarm signals mean. The reality around this is unknown. The reality around us has shown many times that it's worth having knowledge and being prepared for different situations, said Damian Duda of the RCB. Key parts of that. First aid, lack of electricity, and contamination. Some of the things that we go over in the preparedness community. Just wanted to say that. But yeah, a little handbook that went out to the Polish people, or that's accessible to them at least. So again, I just wanted to tie that into the whole Kissinger thing to show you guys that situation, how it's slowly building. So another situation that's brewing, and some of you guys might be feeling it right now, is what you're paying at the pump. Matter of fact, Chief Prepper has been doing me an awesome deal. He's traveling right now and going through different places and sending me information on regards to gas prices that he's seeing as he's traveling. And as from where he started and where he's ending, I think he's in California somewhere right now, the prices have dramatically increased as he's been traveling. And I appreciate that, Chief, if you happen to be watching this right now. That being said, I want to bring up another conflict that's brewing. I said, gas prices are probably going to drop a bit. They're going to do this. That's just the way it works, right? But I said by the summertime, when people decide to do a little bit more traveling, gas prices will probably go higher. Plus the whole situation in general. But I thought this article was truly intriguing, so I wanted to share it with you. So let's check it out. It says the world has a major crude oil problem. Expect conflict ahead. Conflict, huh? Remember I did a video a while back, or maybe a live stream, and I said oil, the lifeblood of countries, makes the world turn. Anyways, it says media outlets tend to make it sound as if all our economic problems are temporary problems. That's what the news is good at. This is just a temporary situation. Our government does it too. This is a temporary situation. The president of the United States goes up there and tells people everything is good. Unemployment's at an all-time low, this and that, and nothing to worry about. You have nothing to worry about. Anyways, our economic problems are temporary problems related to Russian invasion of Ukraine. In fact, world crude oil production has been falling behind needed levels since 2019. The problem by itself encourages the world economy to contract in unexpected ways, including in the form of economic lockdowns and aggression between countries. The crude oil shortfall seems likely to become greater in the years ahead, pushing the world economy toward conflict and the elimination of inefficient players. To me, crude oil production is particular importance because this form of oil is especially useful with refining. It can operate tractors used to cultivate crops. It can operate trucks to bring food to stores as well. With refining, it can be used to make jet fuel. It can be also be refined to make fuel for earth-moving equipment used in road building. In recent years, it has become common to publish all liquids amounts, which include liquid fuels such as ethanol and natural gas liquids. These fuels have uses when energy density is not important, but they do not operate the heavy machinery needed to maintain today's economy. So, key points in this article. 1. A conflict is brewing in regards to oil. Does that bring us back into a conflict with the Middle East or possibly other countries like Russia? Again, as you see, it all kind of intertwines with each other. And then it talks about these greener fuels or whatever, these ethanol and all the other stuff like that, because they can't run the heavy equipment needed in today's economy, specifically tractors and stuff like that. Someone says, well, what about biodiesel? Sure, whatever you think it makes you feel better and sleep at night, so be it. But quite the intriguing article, to say the least, because a lot of people are focusing on so many different things, and there's a lot of distractions out there. I was watching, matter of fact, Rudy over at Alaska Prepper turned me onto a great channel, the Economic Ninja, and I was watching his thing, and it made total sense what the gentleman was saying. I'm now a subscriber. Being that, he discussed, people, so many people in the world right now are paying attention to Johnny Depp and Amber Heard instead of what we really needs to be paying attention to. We're always being hit with distractions to take your mind off or to take your focus on what's truly important, which is our economy, the food, gas, and the list goes on. All right, moving on to let's talk. You know what, man? You know what? I'm gonna talk about the Kansas thing on the live stream. You guys have probably seen the footage that I have, but I want to talk about that on the live stream because I want to dedicate that. I want to keep that separate from this political current event commentary thing like that. But my prayers and my family's prayers go out to the people affected by those tornadoes in Kansas. My heart goes out to you and your families and people that were affected by that. It's just never a good thing, and that's why we have to stay prepared, folks. That's why we have to stay prepared. I want to dive into the food thing real quick. And I know I'm a broken record when it comes to food. Broken record. Gray, you're always talking about food crisis this, food shortage that, and stuff like that. I want to show two things. Someone did a really great breakdown of why the food thing is important to pay attention to. And it might not be immediate, but it's something to watch closely. One thing I want to bring up right here is this little, I guess you want to call it a small little clip of an article. It says, what are the reason for current food crisis? It says the reason for hunger and food insecurity are many and vary from country to country, but generally is a result of conflict, poverty, economic shocks such as hyperinflation, rising commodity prices, and environmental shocks such as flooding and drought. Let me ask you a question. What are we seeing? We are seeing economic shocks like inflation. We're not at hyperinflation yet. We probably will be. Poverty, which is the economic woes of the poor folks here in the United States. Conflict, which is the issues out in Russia and Ukraine, and other conflicts that are evolving. Look at Israel and look at that whole situation. There's conflicts all over the world. Rising prices. How many people have gone to the store and realized things have either went up 20, 30, 40, even 50% for stuff like eggs and food and milk, meats, pork, chicken, again. And then environmental shocks such as flooding and drought. Half of this country is in drought right now. Major drought, unseen since the 1500s. Drought unseen since the 1500s. We are in a cycle. A lot of you folks are probably familiar with El Nino and that cycle. And we've been doing it for a couple of years now. Anyways, these cycles happen. It's the way our world works. Anyways, again, flooding. Someone said we're getting so much rain, it's flooding. Well, floods wash out crops. Floods destroy gardens just as much as drought does. Something to pay attention to, folks. Let's get into this. I want to bring this up because this is very important. Hopefully you're paying attention. Hopefully people who come across this video that are not subscribed, maybe will take a moment and like the video and subscribe, because this information could be beneficial to them and family members in regards to food security, not insecurity, and why we do what we do as people, as we're called preppers. All right, let's get into it. Where do we get our food supply? It says the United States produces most of its own food within the states. So some people are like, wow, that's cool. It says the United States only imports about 15% of its overall food supply from other countries. Wow, that's awesome. This is double-edged sword for the United States, though. On one hand, it's great that we don't heavily rely on other countries to provide food for the United States. On the other hand, it becomes problematic when we aren't able to produce enough food in the United States and don't have the systems in place to import large quantities of food. To me, this is just, wow. This article hits it home tremendously. We are currently faced with these production problems in 2022, as fertilizer has become scarce due to the Ukraine-Russian conflict. Even though we produce a majority of our food in the United States, we import a lot of pesticides and fertilizers that help us produce these crops. With the impending fertilizer crisis right around the corner, the United States food production is stuck in an uncomfortable position. Yet, as we watch the conflict progress, it doesn't seem like Russia has any intent of pulling out of the conflict with Ukraine anytime soon. So what does that mean for the United States? This means that we will start feeling the repercussions of these sanctions ourselves. The repercussions of the United States will come in the form of fertilizer from Russia. This year alone, the United States planned to import $1.2 billion worth of fertilizer from Russia. That didn't happen. Without fertilizer, farms will have to account for this and plant smaller crop fields for the 2022 harvest. Again, I've been telling you folks, the fall, the harvest, 2022, very thing to stay up to date on and watch. Now that we know that food shortage is coming, how soon will we feel the effects from it? Question I get asked a lot. The short answer is today. We know from the 2020 food shortage that once an announcement about food shortage is released, panic buying ensues and the shelves in supermarkets start to go bare. We've already seen, you guys have sent me many pictures of bare shelves. I go out all the time, I see bare shelves. They're not completely bare, not yet, but there's a lot of things missing. Anyways, although we still have plenty of food right now, because that's another thing I get. Well, I go to the store and I see plenty of stuff. There's some holes, sure, but there's plenty of food there. What are you talking about? Are you one of those crazy people? I get that all the time, man. Anyways, back to the article. Although we still have plenty of food right now, the increased demand for long shelf life products will cause temporary shortages across many aisles. But the shortages won't end there, because the shortage is centered around future crop productions. Keyword, future crop productions. We will also face shortages this fall when crops begin to be harvested. Approximately 15% of the wheat produced in the world comes from Russia and Ukraine, with much of that production offline in wheat planting season occurring right now. It's likely already too late to make up for that wheat shortage that we'll see during the upcoming harvest season. So particular food shortages may last for a while. Anyways, and I want to jump back to that one sentence that I was just talking about. This is because the shortage is centered around future crop production. We will also face shortages this fall when crops begin to be harvested. Sorry, I got carried away, because I'm very vested in this, because I want people to know. And unfortunately, there's channels out there that are saying, don't worry about this. Don't pay attention to the food. And it just bothers me, because my fear is that folks are going to listen to someone and not be prepared. Very concerning. Worst case scenario, everything is, there is no food shortage. There is no food crisis. There is no supply issue down the road, and you're stocked up. Money well invested, because inflation's still there. the costs are still going to continue to rise. At least you have some food security for you and your family, because the average American is paying over $500 a month, more a month, for stuff, for normal stuff, for your energy, for your your heating and cooling, your electricity, your gas, and the list goes on. Anyways, where was I? This particular food shortage may last for a while. This is when the real shortages will greatly affect Americans. Once panic buying starts in the fall, there will be little supply to replenish the shelves. We saw similar problems occur in 2020, where the supply chain restricted certain products from being restocked on shelves months after the world's economy restarted. So in this article, and it's linked down below, it says you have until the fall. Some people say, well, maybe you don't have that much time. I say, if you haven't started, you should start now. Canned goods, dried goods, beans, rice, things like that. Things that you know that you're going to consume. Don't buy random stuff. Buy stuff that you know that you're going to consume. If you don't like black beans, then buy navy beans. If you don't like navy beans, buy kidney beans. Maybe you're not big into rice. Maybe you're diabetic and you think, I can't have carbs. Well, having something to fill that void in your stomach will be beneficial. Certain things take precedence when it comes to certain situations, regardless of what ailments you may have or things you may not like. Let's say you hate spam, but if spam was all you had to eat, I'm assuming you would consume it. You might not be happy about it, but you're going to consume it, because true starvation, to feel what that it feels like and to go through it, you might want to ask someone that's gone through it. Not a good thing, folks. Or seeing, seeing your kids, your wife, your grandparents, whoever it may be, your husband, whatever, whoever, starve right in front of you. So please, folks, get prepared. Get prepared. Whew. All right. Man, I have a couple other articles, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, because that was very important. These other things have to do with Charlie Victor, and I'm going to save that for something else, because I don't want this. I don't want this video to be. It's probably already going to be, buried. That's how it is, man. Information like this is so important, and it gets buried. But if you can, folks, if you do have a Facebook, if you do have a Twitter, a MeWe, a Gab, an Instagram, whatever social media platform, groups, local groups, say, hey, I know a channel, some great information. Check it out and send them my way. They want to use your name or your handle. Let them know. I appreciate you guys sharing stuff out like this, because it's very important, because sometimes this stuff gets buried. But anyways, folks, I want to end it there. I want to thank all you for being here on the premiere. Truly appreciate that every single time that you guys spend some of your time with me every Sunday here, listening to me ramble on about some of these things. Some of them are very important, like the food situation. But folks, please be prepared out there. And remember, please be safe. You are not alone. This is GreyMan. I'm out. I'll see you guys on the rebound. God bless.